I was 32 years old when my entire world collapsed in a single week. My business failed, my relationship ended, and my father was diagnosed with cancer. As I sat in my car in an empty parking lot at 2 a.m., hands shaking and heart racing, I realized something terrifying. I had no idea how to handle this level of chaos. But then I remembered something a Roman emperor wrote 2,000 years ago that would completely change how I faced every crisis from that moment forward. Marcus Aurelius wasn't just any emperor, he was leading Rome through plagues, wars, and political upheaval while writing what would become one of history's most powerful guides to mental resilience. His journal, known as Meditations, wasn't meant for publication. These were his private thoughts on how to stay sane when the world was falling apart around him. What I discovered in those pages wasn't just philosophy. It was a battle-tested system for maintaining your sanity when life decides to attack you from every angle. The problem with modern advice about staying calm is that it's written by people who've never faced real adversity. They tell you to just breathe or think positive thoughts while your life is burning down around you. But Marcus Aurelius was writing his notes while Roman soldiers were dying in his wars, while disease was ravaging his empire, while political enemies were plotting his assassination. This wasn't theoretical, this was survival. And yet, there's something even more disturbing about how we handle crisis today. We've become addicted to losing control. We wear our stress like a badge of honor, as if being overwhelmed proves we're important. We scroll through social media, feeding our anxiety with endless bad news, then wonder why we can't sleep at night. We've forgotten that our ancestors survived famines, wars, and plagues, not by panicking, but by developing unshakable mental discipline. But here's what Marcus Aurelius understood that we've completely lost. The secret isn't in controlling what happens to you. The secret is in controlling how you respond to what happens to you. Every morning, Marcus would write reminders to himself. Today, I will meet with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness. He wasn't being pessimistic, he was being prepared. He knew that expecting the worst paradoxically made him more resilient when it actually happened. But there's a specific technique he used that most people completely misunderstand. It's called the view from above, and it's more powerful than any meditation app or breathing exercise you've ever tried. When chaos erupted around him, Marcus would imagine himself floating above the earth, looking down at his problems from the perspective of space and time. From that vantage point, he could see that his current crisis, no matter how overwhelming, was just one small moment in the vast expanse of human history. But this wasn't about minimizing his problems. It was about something far more strategic. Here's what nobody tells you about Stoicism. It's not about suppressing your emotions or pretending everything is fine. That's a complete misunderstanding that's actually dangerous. The Stoics felt emotions just as intensely as anyone else. The difference was that they had trained themselves to create a split second of space between feeling the emotion and acting on it. In that tiny gap, they could choose their response instead of being controlled by their impulses. The night my world fell apart, I applied what Marcus Aurelius had written about dealing with setbacks. Instead of fighting the panic, I acknowledged it. I notice I'm feeling overwhelmed right now. Then I asked myself his famous question, is this something I can control or something I cannot control? My business failure? I couldn't undo it, but I could control what I did next. My father's diagnosis? I couldn't change it, but I could control how I supported him through it. Is my relationship ending? I couldn't force someone to stay, but I could control how I processed the grief and what I learned from it. Within minutes, the paralyzing anxiety began to shift into something else: clarity. Not happiness, I wasn't delusional, but a calm, focused energy that allowed me to think clearly about my next steps. This is what the Stoics call the discipline of desire, training yourself to want what happens, not because it's good, but because it's reality. And reality is the only place where you can actually take effective action. 6 months later, I had rebuilt my business stronger than before. My relationship with my father had deepened through facing his illness together, and I had learned more about myself than I had in the previous decade. None of this happened because I stayed positive or believed everything happens for a reason. It happened because I stopped wasting energy fighting reality and started using that energy to respond effectively to reality. Marcus Aurelius died knowing that his empire would face challenges he couldn't prevent, but confident that he had built something that could endure them. You can build that same unshakable foundation in your own life. The next time life attacks you, and it will, you'll have something more powerful than hope or optimism. You'll have the tools to stay calm, think clearly, and take action from a place of strength rather than fear. And in a world that profits from your panic, that kind of calm is the ultimate act of rebellion.